Okay, in our other video we mentioned that we bought some lithium batteries, and now we're going to start the process of getting those installed into our rig. Hi everyone, this is David with Tigner Adventures, and my wife Ninette and our little cat Tansy. We live full-time in our motorhome. And for the past 4 years now, we have been powering everything off of 6 Trojan 6-volt lead acid batteries, which have given us about 300 amp hours of power that we could use anytime that we're out and about. And so now, if you watched some of our last videos, you know that, hey, we just made the big jump, spent almost as much as we did for our rig on 6 lithium batteries. So we're going to be swapping out those lead acid batteries for these 6 lithium batteries right here. And these batteries are actually rated at 105 amp hours each. So we're going to be moving ourselves up to, let's see, 5 times 6 is 30. Yep, still know my math. So 630 amp hours will be our new capacity on our rig. So this will really be nice, especially on those cloudy days and things. We really hate running our generator, and if you've been following along, we took out our big one and sold it so that we could put a mini split in. And so you can see that video right here. And that worked out very well. And so I took the money from that generator and I put it into a new fund for lithium batteries. And then we did some work for my sister, and my brother-in-law was so kind to pay us to help him out there. So we took some of that money and we put into our battery fund. So we kept building on that, and then of course we put money in each month since then to get us up to where we're at now. Now, we actually ended up, as it sits, about $700 in the hole in that particular account. So we've got $700 to make up. We didn't quite have enough there, so we actually dipped into our emergency fund to actually fund the purchase of these. And when I first started out, if you watch that lithium battery thing up in Quartzsite, I was actually leaning pretty heavily towards Rebel batteries. And then after talking to the engineer with Lion Energy, he pointed out a few good points that I pointed out in this video, and kind of comparing all the different kinds, different manufacturers out there and things. And so I decided to go ahead and talked it over with my wife. We said, let's go for it. And so now we have these 6 batteries that we're going to install. So now we're going to go through this process. The first thing we got to do is unbox them, and then we're going to get them charged, all right, because that's the first step. And then we'll kind of start breaking things down from there to kind of give you an idea what processes we're going through. We did buy the cable. It was suggested that we get 4/0 cable. It's like this big around. It's bigger than my thumb. So anyway, real heavy duty cable, so that it can the current can flow back and forth easily without restrictions. So we're going to put those ends on. We're going to show you how we do all that. All right, so I have already opened 5 of these boxes, and I've charged the batteries up, and this is the last one. So I'm just going to show you how well they're packed, and then we're going to get it out and actually hook it up to the charger and everything. So anyway, so it's actually double booked, or double boxed. You see right here, this one says UT 1300 refurbished. The batteries are UT 1300, Lion Energy's UT 1300 batteries, and the ones I bought were the refurbished ones because they were actually at least $100 cheaper than the new ones, and I actually got a $50 discount on these. I didn't buy them right from Lion Energy, so I got it for another $50 off. So Lion was selling the new ones for $800. I bought this for $650. So $650 each. They come with the same exact manufacturer's warranty that the new ones have. So it's like, why spend the extra $150 or even $100? I mean, that just seems a little crazy to me. So anyway, extra box inside, so well packaged. We're just gonna open this one up. Okay, they've got each battery has this foam on the top of it, and I reach in here. The batteries themselves have handles, which is really handy. And so if I take this out, I'll just turn this over so we can have the battery up here kind of high, but it does have these standoffs, and you can take these off if you don't want to use those, which is going to be handy for when I place my wires, because this way I can put one wire here and have the other one go over the top of it up here between batteries, and this won't be in the way, so as I'm connecting batteries together. So that's kind of cool. And then it has, we didn't get the little package out. It's got another little package inside that's got all the actual screws that screw into the top of these to screw the terminals down. So there's two different sizes, and so that's kind of nice. It's got the real long one and a shorter one. So depending on if I take this long extension off, I can use this shorter one. If I keep the long one on there, then I can also use this one to actually screw that down. So just a couple different options, all included. So that's pretty nice, pretty well boxed. But now it's time to get this charged up. Okay, I've been charging my battery with this 10 amp battery charger, and it now shows green. My battery started out at 40%. It's got a little indicator here on the side, and if you push it, it now says 100%. But I charged this. It took, because that was only 10 amps, and this took about 6 hours to get this charged back up again. But that completes all the batteries being charged, and so now all the batteries are 100%. Welcome to my workshop, which is our kitchen. We're going to be doing all the work in here because it's nice and windy and cold outside, and we've been tearing out the carpet, and then eventually this flooring's coming out, so it doesn't matter if I mess something up right now. So we're just going to use this as our little workshop, and Tansy's here to help me out. And the first thing we got to do now that we have the batteries all charged up is, well, I guess it wasn't the first thing. I kind of knew what the measurements were, but I'm going to just measure these really quick, and just to make sure that how they're going to fit in my actual base. So if you look here, you can see my Trojan batteries are in this compartment here. They're they're 1/16 short of being 21 inches wide, 21.5 inches deep, and 10 inches high. So now we're going to measure the lithium bank. This is how I'm going to orient the lithium bank in the bay, and I think I can do this with Tansy sitting here. So anyway, so our width is 20 1/4, and the Trojans were almost 21. So we're good that way. We're actually got 3/4 inch play there. And then from going deep, we're at 19.5, maybe 19.5/8 deep. And the Trojan ones were 21.5 deep. So we're good that way too. We'll have to, I got some wood in there, so we'll rearrange that to so they can keep it from sliding around. And then the height, I put one standoff right here. You can kind of see. And that standoff is about 10 inches high. And on the Trojans, it is actually 10.5 inches. So this is good. The next thing we have to do now, though, now that we know our batteries are here and everything, the reason I was really laying them out this way, besides just measuring them, the overall battery is a lot smaller, so I knew it was going to be able to fit in there than what the Trojan is. So, but I want to actually measure from this terminal to this terminal, and if I measure from the center of one terminal to the next, we are right at 6.5 inches. Do you agree with that? Or are you just enjoying just sitting there? So what we have to do is we're going to actually run, make up some cable that I've got sitting over here, and we're going to run from here to here to here, and then from here over to here, and then all the way back over to here. And then so that will that'll link all these batteries together. Will come off the positive on this side, and it will come off the negative where Tansy's sitting. You know that? You're seeing right where I'm going to put the cords, the cables and things. You don't care, do you? No, didn't think you did. All right, so let's get making the wire. All right, so here is the cable. And to show you the size, there is my thumb. So it is a little bit wider than my thumb as far as the thickness of the cable. So these are our connectors. These happen to have a 1/4 inch hole in them, which is what the battery's bolt is 1/4 inch. And the other items on my rig are 1/4 inch, other than my shunt, which is 5/16. And so what we're going to do is when we get to the connectors that will go on the shunt, which are my negative, that's what this black is my negative line, will be my negative line. We will drill this little hole out to be 5/16 so it will fit the shunt. So with that said, what we need to do is we're going to strip this back, and this cable lug will go on there, and we'll push that in as far as we can. And we want to actually have it be, you know, so if that's where it's going to sit, then we want to actually cut our insulation back to that point, and that will all fit in there. And then we'll use our big crimpers that we borrowed to actually crimp this on there. So when this lug is actually on the cable, that's kind of how it will sit. We want to take our heat shrink, and we're going to want to cut it so that it comes to the edge here of the cable lug, and back here probably about right there for to kind of seal it all. And this particular heat shrink has glue in it, so we will put that on there, shrink it down until the glue comes out everywhere, and that seals it so moisture doesn't get into this connection. Now when you cut this stuff, you don't want to make any nicks in it, because when you start heating it up and shrinking it, it will, wherever there happens to be a nick, will create a split. It'll just split as it's shrinking. So we're going to use a razor blade, and I'm just going to cut this off at 1 3/4 inches, and that's what we're actually going to use for the heat shrink for this particular connection. Okay. There we go. Now this is real fine copper. You want to have it very pliable in the fine strands. That makes a better connection overall. Passes more current, it doesn't break, has a lot more flexibility to it. So this will actually go on here. So we just got to get that into that hole. Just like that. So there's our connector, it's on there. And since this is big enough to go over this, I'm not going to worry about it right now. So let me just give you a little tidbit here. It's actually easier to put this in the crimper first and get that in there. Let's see, we're going to go this way. So we're going to put so if you look at these crimpers here, it's got a big notch that it will poke a hole down right here, so it's going to smash it, and then these jaws right here will take and squeeze the sides right here. So I have to put that through this way. So I'm going to get this kind of squoze down into the spot where I want that to be, that little divot to be, and I want it to be also kind of right there in the center. All right, so there it is. It's on there. Now the next step is to go ahead and put this cable in there, and then using the floor as my friend, I'm going to actually push this down as hard as I can and see if we can't crimp it in there. So we'll put that back in there. get all the little fine strands back where they go. Okay, so this is the big test. I'm going to hold that and squeeze this down. I think that's as far as it needs to go. It's to the end of the crimpers there, and actually that was a lot simpler than I thought it would be. Of course, that's what it looks like. And if you look at it up here close, you see it crimped here, here, and down here. And the key is that's on there nice and tight. So I've cut this tubing, that's 1.5 inches, and I'm just going to set it so that it's just even with this edge right here. So if you can kind of see that, it's right here where it starts to bevel. I'm just going to make it right there. I'm actually just going to sit this down here, and I'm going to use a heat gun, and I'm going to heat that up and shrink it down so it just kind of shrinks. Kind of shrinking down there. You want to do this until the glue comes out. All right, so you can see right there, we've got some glue coming out here, if I can get the reflection to reflect on it. And we got glue coming out on this side. So that seals that connection, and it's still pretty hot, but it'll be nice and tight in there and won't let any moisture in. All right, so I have finished, and I've made my first connector. So I've got it all cut, with the ends on, with the heat shrink on them, and worked out pretty good. So that's the first one. And I do need to give you a couple little, tips here. First of all, I tried to cut this with my cutting wheel off of my grinder, and what it does is it fans out this copper so bad. And also, if you remember when I was taking this sheath off, this outside is rubber, and then they've got kind of a plastic white piece there, and that kind of melted into the copper. So I had to kind of scrape all that off. And then it made it so wide, even though I tried to get the little strands together, I had a really difficult time, pretty much impossible to even get it on there. And so it just wasn't working well. So I went out and tried a different couple places. I actually ended up going to Harbor Freight and getting these for 10 bucks. They seem to do the best out of all the real cheap ones. You can get the next level up is 20 bucks, but for what I'm doing, this seems to work pretty good. And it does have a lifetime warranty on it from Harbor Freight. So I end up going with these. These work the best, and it actually cuts it like this. So that worked out really nice. Once it's cut and I sheathed it, it actually made, that easier to put onto the end, and so I was able to get that back on there without much issue. And I had cut it just a little bit long to kind of test it anyway. So I was luckily this worked out good. So anyway, so that completes that. I'm going to go through and I'm just going to do the rest of them real quick, and then we'll get all that ready and be ready to go outside and actually start setting the stuff in the compartment. We have a big job in the compartment because we've got to tear everything out and then rebuild the compartment for our lithium batteries. All right, so here's my battery compartment, and I showed you a picture of my batteries before. The thing we really need to concentrate on is this negative line. So the one on the right is coming from the battery, and then it goes through the shunt and up to the ground of the vehicle. I've actually got a couple grounds up there. So that's the thing we're gonna have to change. And then over here, you can see, if I can get down here far enough. So the positive goes across the battery. It's actually coming off that back terminal back there where the white is. The white is a fuse for the inverter. So that connection is supposed to go to the inverter. And then the other wire that's on top of there is actually circling around. That's becoming this wire going up to the stud. Now the stud is just all the hots in one place, just to kind of keep them all together. It does have one of them coming up to this relay box up here, but I've taken the one off the other side because I don't think that's actually working right. And so I'm going to get rid of that and put a manual one in at some point. But right now, I'm not that worried about that one yet. So the thing I want to point out on this big block here is that this one right here is actually going up to my engine compartment. We are in the engine compartment here, and that little block right in front of us is the auxiliary start. And the big cable going up to the top goes from the battery or starter, I guess it would be the starter side. And what that's for is in case the battery's dead on the coach, I can push a button inside and it will trip that little relay and send power to that other little connector down there. That happens to be where I have my radios connected also. But that big wire there is the one that goes back to my house batteries. And so by pushing that button, I can actually, start my vehicle off my house batteries, which is not something you want to do with lithium. So I need to take that out. So if I take that connection off the bottom there, and it's so there's nothing connected on the bottom of that switch, there's no voltage there. However, if I start the engine and the engine's running, then there's voltage there. So that's why when my engine's running, it also charges my house batteries. So that's how that works. So it must be automatically turning that relay on to charge the house batteries while I'm driving. Now, in the case of lithium, it cannot do that because the lithium will pull everything it possibly can get out of that alternator and it will just burn it right up. So we're going to have to take that cable off, and then the little red cable that's coming back this direction is my radio for my ham radio stuff. So I'm going to have to put another little block in here and just put it on a block of its own, just so that it's isolated. And the other one just right below it, right there, that blue one, is heading off over that way towards my hydraulic jacks. So that's running off there. And then the other connector that's coming this direction is coming over here to this block of fuses here. The cable that's on top right here is actually coming from my battery charger or converter. So that's the IntelliPower Progressive Dynamics box. And then the big connectors, that's my inverter back there. And that is the big connections coming back right straight back there by the black. That's actually, it's the heavier dutier black one straight to the left of the first red one there in the back. And it's going to that fuse. So that is the inverter. That's going to change. We're going to take those wires out. We're going to put in the big 4-aught cable that will go from that fuse and actually go to the inverter. Everything else will come in and go to this box, this block, just like it is right now. So the things that we're going to change is, because those 4-aughts are so big, I'm going to have to split up those wires. So one, the ground's going to come through that top hole, and then the other one's going to come through the hole right kind of through there. You can kind of, well, it's got, where did it go? Oh, it's way down here at the bottom. So it's going to come through that bottom hole. So the red one will come through that bottom hole. The black cable for ground will come through that top hole over to the ground. And that way I can get all the cables through there, because I can't get, the hole's not big enough for just those two 4-aught cables to go through. It's about 1/4 inch too small. So anyway, I'm going to tear this all apart. Then the big question will be is how to lift these batteries out of here. So I'm going to take this shunt out. So I'll take all that off, and then I think our best bet is to try to lift this front one out right here if we take that big cable off. Once we get one battery out, then we can easily start taking the rest of them out. And the new ones going in don't weigh a lot, remember, so they'll be a lot easier to put in. So anyway, so that's the breakdown of the compartment, so we're going to get to work on that. How's that? Go for a little bit. Okay. Now what I'm hoping I can do is lift this one out of here, but that might be asking a lot. Those are heavy. How am I going to do that? Let's see. I wonder how much these weigh. They weigh more than I do. Oh, okay, we got that far. Wonder why my rig's overweight. I don't know if you can see in there very good, but we have it all cleaned out. We have the board back in for the bottom of the compartment, and all the wires undone. All right, well, those last batteries weighed 67 pounds each. These are 23 pounds. They're a lot easier to lift in and out, and it's 12 volts. The 67 pounds was only 6 volts. So I'm gonna go ahead and set these all in here and range them, and then we'll come back and see what it looks like once they're in. All right, so that is with the batteries in there now. We still have to hook up our negatives and get our positives ran. Okay, it is on. Just hooked up the power. Got a little bit of a spark when I did that because I don't have a regular battery shut off right now, so I need to get that in and then I won't have that problem. But this is what it looks like. So very clean looking. I ended up not needing to move that shunt, so that's nice. And that's a big wire going to that inverter, but these are big wires everywhere, and so we don't have to worry about that part of it, right? So this will be really nice. And I like how clean looking it is, so that's nice. Easy to get to everything. So now I've gone through and also reset my BMI 712 from Victron. Reset it back to 0, and the settings also match what Lithium is looking for. And then also changed my solar charger, so now that it doesn't do an equalization mode, it just does charging and then float mode. So that's all changed. Okay, so I've turned all the power on. Everything is working great. Pretty excited about this. I'll tell you, I am aching really bad. Pulling those lead acid batteries out of there was really tough, and it took 2 of us to get that first one out of there. So have to say thanks to my friend Greg, who came by to help me out there, because I don't think I would have got it out of there, at least not any time soon, because it was heavy. So those things weigh, what was it, 70 pounds, 68 something pounds. I had to do that on my regular foot scale that I stand on, because our luggage scaler wouldn't go up that high. But so 70 pounds, and our new ones are only 23 pounds each, so I could lift those in a lot easier, so that was really nice. So anyway, that completes this piece of the install. It's all installed and it's all running. So I'm pretty happy with the whole thing, and I think it'll be a really great asset for us now that we have those in there. So anyway, that completes the lithium install, so that's nice, and it's out of the way now. So now I can get back to working on our floor. I still got to get that done, and I've still got to one other project is I've got to fix one of my levelers doesn't work, so I think I need to rebuild the valve assembly, so I need to get working on that too. So but as far as this is done, it's done. so we'll go ahead and end this video at this point and say thanks for watching. Thanks to our subscribers. We appreciate you guys watching all the time and supporting us. So if you haven't subscribed, then consider doing so. Hopefully we can provide some good content for you. But with that said, we'll say goodbye for now, and hope to see you around Yuma. We're here for, I guess Ninette was saying it's like 10 more weeks, maybe 9 more weeks now, and then we will be back on the road. So time is flying. I've got a lot of work to get finished up before we can go. So anyway, if you're around, reach out to us, send us an email. We'd be glad to meet you somewhere, or whatever the case may be, say hi. So until then, we'll just see you down the road somewhere, and so just take care.